Welcome back to Four Titles, One Truth. You already know what this show is about. It's about truth. And sometimes that truth, it can be uncomfortable to talk about.
It can. Today's truth, what it means to be a black man in uniform. From our perspective, of course.
Yeah. So I'm going to speak for myself. I'm sure he may qualify on some of the things I say, but I served with pride. I wore the uniform with honor, but I also carried something extra. Would you?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Major. I did the same thing.
I didn't know.
Okay.
He was always off somewhere else. I don't know what he was doing. But anyway.
Same pattern.
We also carried that weight of perception, the pressure to represent, and the constant need to prove ourselves.
So let's talk about race.
Yeah.
Respect and reality in the ranks. As two men who lived it every day.
Every day.
All
right. Hey, let's get into it.
All right, Tommy. What did you or your friends think about you joining the military as a young black man?
Okay, so I'm going to preface this by explaining a little bit about me, right? I was born in a black neighborhood on the black side of town. Mm-hmm. But from kindergarten to 6th grade, I was bused. My sister and I were bused, she's 2 years older than me, out to a Christian school.
Okay.
And throughout our time, there was an average of 2 black people in that school, and that was me and my sister.
Okay.
Now, sometimes we would have another black person, and it got up to 4, I think, one time. But it was always the 2 of us, okay? And so I only say that because growing up, I had white and black friends because of my situation. Mm-hmm. So, and I knew that there was a difference.
Right.
Okay. So when I signed up to join the military, there was 2 different sides of how I was patted on the back or what the thoughts of me doing it was.
Okay.
Right. On the majority of the white friends and white people I knew, they were just so proud. And they were like, that's going to be great for you. You know, well, we thought you were going to go to college, but this is a great alternative to what you're doing. And
it's a good option.
Yeah. Great decision you made. That's a smart young man that's planning his steps. On the black side, especially my age, it was, what's wrong with you?
Why are you doing that?
Yeah, what's wrong with you? And it was, the perception was that you going into the military, you're basically giving up on your dreams. You're taking a course that's not meant for you as a black person. And that is 100% how it came across, right? Mm-hmm. And me going in the military, when I made the decision to go into the military, it wasn't because I was
at a last resort.
Rah, patriot. This was my plan in my life, you know.
Okay.
It was, I had patriotism because Desert Storm had just finished. And I felt a pride, but I also was at a standstill in my life. And so my decision to join the military was, once again, back to what my recruiter said. You know, he told me, and it was true, that black people, when we get to a point of making decisions, it's not just right or left. It's stand still, do nothing, and regress, or make a decision, move forward, and progress. Yep. And so I took that to heart, and then my step towards progress was joining the Army.
Okay.
So that's my story, but that's also how the 2 different perceptions from my white friends and my black. It doesn't mean that none of my black friends supported it, but I absolutely can tell you this 100%, that every black kid in my neighborhood that was my age was like confused that I was going into the Army.
Okay. I mean, it's similar story. As far as schools and all of that, those good things. I went to a Catholic elementary school from 1st to 8th grade.
Okay.
So, but it was majority was black. Teachers were none, so they were white. Had a couple of black teachers.
Okay.
But then when I got to high school, that's when it flip flopped, big time. But I was already familiar with the high school because my father was a administrator there.
Okay.
So I, had been up there, and so I knew but didn't know,
Right.
Realize it because you always, growing up, especially in our age group and stuff, we grew up in an era where it was like, in your face but not in your face,
Right. Right. Especially in the Midwest.
Yes. But when I got to college, I was in a ROTC program
At where?
At Howard University.
Exactly.
That was run by black officers and black enlisted. Friends were all we had a couple of white kids in our class, but the majority of everybody, 98% of everybody else was black.
Like your neighborhood.
Yeah, so so it was, as far as what the end game was for us that were in the program, everybody was like, "Yep, we're going into the military." But it was helping. Yeah, so it was like we helped each other out. Now that doesn't mean at the school the sentiments were the same. Yeah, that weren't in the program. So because it's a college. We're in Washington D.C., so you still have all of the for all of the things that go on with the government and stuff.
Yeah.
So but for the most part, everybody was very supportive. Really? I never had anybody in my family or friends say, well, why you going to do that? That's going to be a mistake. Nobody ever told me it was going to be a mistake. So I was always like looking forward to it because I was seeing friends that had graduated and gone on and were already second lieutenants and first lieutenants and captains and things like that. So you're looking, it's like, oh man, I can do and then just I think what I guess made me wanna join more and be in more, represent, was knowing the numbers of black officers that are in the military as a whole, then the number that are even in my corps that I'm, in the nurse corps that I was in. And medical service corps probably has, I know it does have more officers than
logistics
combat.
Is different than logistics is an all-inclusive job field. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of representation, especially in the military. Support, I won't just say logistics, but support is a lot more intertwined in the races than we'll say what infantry is, right? Yeah. Or specific job fields that weren't aligned with the ideas of a black person.
Well, and I think I don't know if I'm getting ahead of the conversation, but I think some of that comes from, if you think of like infantry officers, armor officers, they're leading in the perception that black folks can't lead.
That was heavy.
Because we see that in coaching and things. Black folks can't be head coaches or some of these leadership positions, and I think that's why it's the numbers have always been small, less. Well, in those areas.
And I have a different take where, like, when you're talking about infantry, that is a job field when you're joining the military to where when you walk through that door, that if you sign up for infantry, you're going to war. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things. When you sign up to join the military and you're taking a whole bunch of other jobs, yes, you could possibly go to war, but in your mind, back in my time, right, it wasn't war. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going. I wasn't digging foxholes. I wasn't busting through doors. That was the perception when I joined.
Okay.
Now, when I actually deployed to war, I realized that, well, the front lines have changed to where there
It's
may
not
be
World
some
War I,
infantry
World War
jokers
II.
behind me,
Yeah.
right, in this moment. So it's changed. So so my perspective, especially when I joined, remember, was 35 years ago. And it's changed now because when I joined, it was Cold War era. And now it's, you don't know where the front line is going to be. You don't know. There's an idea of who the enemies are, but you really don't know who the enemy is.
All right.
All right. So, how did being black and being a black man in uniform shape the way you were seen by your peers, subordinates, or leadership? And this is a tough question because there's a lot to this question. But what's your answer?
I think, well, the way that I tell you what I think and the way that I felt was when I came in. You talking about when I came in?
Yeah.
Uniform. Okay.
Yeah.
When I came in initially, probably looked like a little
Or the
kid.
evolution of that.
Yeah, I mean, I looked like a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, coming in and being a man in in nursing, which has always been perceived as that's a female that's a female's job. You know, that's not so. And we do, and I'll tell you that we do, and it's probably more males in nursing in the military than in the civilian sector. But just being in that environment, you know, they look at you like, what's going on?
Sure?
You know, where you going? Are you supposed to be here? And then it's like, do you know what you're doing? Because you look like you're 15, 16.
Because you're a man, or more because of
just,
race?
I think the race anyway. It's all. I mean, I think that coming in with the race anyway, you get stereotype labeled as you may not know 100%. As much, or you are coming from the school. If you're not coming from a big time school that was big 100%. In nursing or ranked in the thing that but we all take the same test for our license. I mean, you have to pass the NCLEX in order to be
a nurse.
Be to get your RN. So it's like we learn the same stuff. We all tick the same way. Yeah. But it was I think for some of the subordinates, and when I say talking about subordinates, talking about some of the black kids, the younger black kids are like, oh man, young black man, some of the medics and things like that. Well, I could go and do, because you talk to them like, yeah, man, you could do this. You could go to school. You don't even have to be a nurse. You can be a PA. You can be a physical therapist. I mean, so you try to like, hey, you can do this.
Take that ceiling off.
Yeah, I mean, because you tell them your story. It's like, I'm from East St. Louis. Yeah. You can do it. I'm not from a big city or big town. Yeah, we're from. From a small town. You don't have to be from a big place or go to a big school. A big school. I was fortunate to grow up with a good education, good parents that pushed that piece of it to me. Then getting to go to the university where I did, where I got going to Howard and getting that diversity and getting that dose of pride and
that injection.
Yes, and and it was I needed it. It was good. So
so let me ask you a secondary question. Mm-hmm. Your first few 3 to 5 years in the military, mm-hmm. Can you say now that you felt a racial? I'm talking about not what you knew because white, black, and other races. I mean, did you feel that there was a hold or pressure on you strictly related to you being black in your first few years in the military?
I'm gonna say if there were, I wouldn't notice them because I was trying to learn. I mean, my whole focus when I came in and I started was being the best nurse that I could be. Yeah. Learning my job, because I felt like if I didn't know how to do my job, I wasn't going to be an effective leader, and people wouldn't take me seriously. Because I think that's a lot of the stuff too, is that they don't. We get looked at as jokesters, and because because to me it's like, if you're not having a good time at work, then why are you doing it? You should have fun at work, enjoy it. Yeah, you should enjoy what you're doing. And to me, I wanted to learn my job and get good at my job and enjoy what I was doing.
Right.
And I felt like that was going to make me a better leader in the area where the Army paid for me to go to school and brought me in to be, because I knew I wasn't gonna be on the front. I wasn't gonna be I wasn't be doing infantry officer stuff, or transportation officer stuff. I wasn't gonna be doing any of that stuff. I knew I was gonna be doing medical stuff. Lives, taking nursing, taking hospital leadership, that type of career path. So,
because that was the thing. So. I'm the same. So my first few years in the military, well, let me say this, right? The military has clearly defined rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. Now, just like anything, there are rules and regulations that can be interpreted, right, by leadership.
Right.
But there are rules to everything you do in the military. It breaks down how you walk. Yeah. Okay, that's all I need to explain, right? Marching is taught. How to lead with your left foot, and then how far of a step it is when you walk, how far of a step it is when you jog, how far of a step it is when you run. So it's very precise, okay? And the institution, we're talking about the regulations, the rules, is not racist, right? It is literally set up so that anybody can be successful.
Yep.
Even if you interpret it different, it's still set up so that a human being comes into the military, the human being learns their job and learns how to survive and learns how to fight your nation's wars, and you do that to the best of your ability, progression will happen. Okay? But like I've said before, society is the same in and outside the military. So my first few years, I ran into racist people, but I didn't feel like I was being held down by peers or by all of my peers or by the system, right? But I can tell you for a fact that I had racist run-ins when I was E4 and below. I had racist run-ins when I was junior non-commissioned officer, E5, E6, senior non-commissioned officer, all the way up to sergeant major. I've had racial incidents like that, but I've never felt
not being able to progress because somebody was holding you back or being discriminated against, or not being able to go to a school or
exactly like you said. I always felt that if I was the best I could be, then promotion was going to happen. Then leadership opportunities were going to open up. That's how I felt. Throughout my career, I always felt that if I did the best, I would have to, if I did my best, I would be successful. But my opinion, there is a misunderstanding of when you step from wherever you come from in the civilian world, and when you step into the military, you're going to have to adjust and adapt to be successful in that pipeline. And I think some people misinterpret that as maybe a touch of racism or a touch of being held down, held back. Because I can tell you, especially when I was a drill sergeant, the kids had come in, right? And I can say this confident, when I was a drill sergeant, the hardest workers when I was a drill sergeant were white women, then black women, then white men, Let me start off. Let me be correct. It was white women were the hardest workers. And what I mean by that is they gave everything. Some of them were successful. Some of them were outstanding. Some of them failed. But they came in and they seemed to be focused on what they were going to do, right? They made the decision to join the military. They accepted that it was going to be hard, and they accepted that they were going to do the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
This is my take. And I did 3 years as a drill sergeant. And black women came in the same way. They came in with that that same, I made this decision. I know it's going to be tough, so I'm going to do everything I can. Then, and I'm not talking about all in any of these groups I'm mentioning, because of course you're always going to have some that are outside of the numbers, right? And then the different races were next, male and female, and then you had white men and black men.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my perception, and it was the same way when I was in basic training, is that most young black men that came into the military, including me, we didn't come in with a plan. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Most of us came in with the decision to be in the military, and we heard some good stuff. We made the decision to make a step towards progression and improving our life, but maybe I didn't completely understand what the military was when I joined.
Right.
I didn't understand the trials and tribulations that I could run to. It was simply a decision I made to make myself better, right?
Right.
And I knew that there were benefits, that it was beneficial to me to make this step instead of being stagnant in the town I grew up in, right? And a lot of young black men that don't have that plan, who are walking into the military without being fully informed,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a negative impact that happens.
Right. That's the key right there is what you said. You had a plan.
Yes.
You had a plan,
Yeah.
and then
And
you got in and and
Absolutely.
used.
And when you see a white, black, or any color drill sergeant yelling at you and making you feel like less of a man, and your plan wasn't locked in, that I'm going to do this phase and it's going to contain these hardships, but I'm going to absolve all that because this is the end state, right? That trips up a lot of people, and it tripped up a lot of young black soldiers while I was a drill sergeant and when I was in basic training in the service. So
they see it as like it was a lack of respect towards them,
it's
or
the culture.
just
It's the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was a very aggressive drill sergeant, right? If you can't tell, I've been aggressive my whole life. And so as soon as you get off of them cattle trucks and you are introduced to your drill sergeant, it is not meant, right, the easier way to say it. It is our job as drill sergeants to immediately make you understand and feel how different the military is from the civilian life. Our job is to shock the crap out of you so that you now know, this is different.
okay.
And that's meant to open up. Yeah, this is the psychological part of drill sergeant, right? That shock is meant to like open up your perceptions so that you can adjust. It's meant to, from civilian to that first day of basic training, is meant to break you, right?
Okay.
It's meant to break you open like an egg so that you now can learn and grow as a soldier, as a military service member.
Okay.
That's what that day is for. Now, there are some drill sergeants out there that take it too far, and there are some drill sergeants that don't take it far enough. And so there are some soldiers when they're coming in that may not get broken open the way that they should. It should be a nice clean break, right? So you can grow. It shouldn't be dismantling to the point to where you no longer feel like you're worthy of living.
Yeah.
But and so culturally, you can take that as a black man, and somebody sitting there yelling at me, telling me what I am and what I can't do, and I'm garbage, right? The way I was raised, that another man is not going to sit there and tell me that, right? But if you have a plan and you understand what you're walking into, you can get through that.
Right.
And the only reason I made it through that basic training, because my dad was full of humble pie for me, right? My dad was absolutely, I had to walk a line. So I walked the line because I knew that Tom Jones had a hand that could palm a bowling ball, man. All right. But I knew that there were consequences, right? And so when I got into the military, being yelled at wasn't a problem because I knew I was going to do right.
Just following the
Yeah,
direction.
absolutely.
I mean, it's
and when I
just some
did
discipline,
wrong,
learning that piece, and
and when I did wrong, I knew I shouldn't have did that. And so the extra push-ups or the yelling, that didn't faze me. And so, but just think about if you're not used to that environment.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, just talk about what if you were raised by a woman, right? And your father wasn't in the picture, and now all of a sudden, and your mom could have been, standing 10 toes down and giving you the same heat that a father could have, right? But then you get into a military or anywhere, and now all of a sudden a man's going to sit there and tell you what you ain't. That chip on a black man's shoulder is real.
Okay.
Yeah, and so seeing that in the military, it was sad, but it was also understood, and it was my job as a drill sergeant to try to know, and as a leader, to try to understand the cultural differences and try to figure out how to empower everybody so that they could so that they could get that process of being broken down and then built back up to be successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my portion of it. But yeah, that drill sergeant thing, that was, actually, I had 3 goals in the military. Right. Drill sergeant was the first one.
All right. Were there moments you felt you had to prove more than others because of your race?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's where it goes back to the system. I don't feel is racist, but there are racist people in that system, right? And the easiest way for me to explain it is, for you to be relevant as a soldier and as a leader, you have to be able to get someone's ear, right? And and to touch on something that you had mentioned before, when people, I ain't even going to just break it down by race right now. When people see a black person walking to you, a white person walking to you, an Asian, an Hispanic, there is a concern about what you're going to get from this individual walking towards you. And I have felt that before I had a chance to open my mouth, before I had a chance to execute, when I walk into the presence of some people, you can feel yourself being judged, and you can feel yourself being just looked over, and assumptions being formed on the people's face that you are walking in their presence, right? And so I know there's a perception out there that black people are going to be loud. I know there's a perception that black people could be lazy. I know there's a perception that black people, they don't know their job or capable of executing what your expectations were.
All of the above.
So I know that happens, and I have witnessed that. But at the same time, I've witnessed the revelation of that, to where they hear me talk, or they see me work, or they see what I'm capable of and my potential,
Right.
and you can see the change in their face, and you can see the acceptance that they have.
You know, and I'm sure that changed. I can tell you it changed for me. I'm sure it changed for you the same way as you went longer in your career. that word of mouth and people knowing who you are, especially when you go to another
Absolutely.
assignment and stuff,
Yeah.
people know
Who's coming?
what the unless they're new or unless they didn't
Yeah.
do their
No,
homework or whatever.
absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with that. But proving yourself is also a thing that I was raised on. So I didn't always take it as racism. I took it as a man, you have to prove yourself. As a soldier, you have to prove yourself. As a leader, you have to prove yourself. So I didn't always take it as racism, but I absolutely had times where racism was. And I'm gonna tell you a story. Let me tell you a story.
All right.
All right, remember what you're gonna say. Remember what you're gonna say. So I was and this is something that probably people. I was a private, right? I was in the Army less than a year, and I ended up, I was parked illegally in my Escort GT.
Okay. With the 15s in the back. Yeah.
Well, at that time, it was just the 12s. But I was parked illegally, and a cop came up. It was me and my squad leader at the time, but he was two black men. And we had literally had Hawaiian Punch in our car.
Okay.
And so the cop thought it was open containers. And so we had that issue. We had that to deal with. But then he gave me a ticket for being illegally parked. So I was illegally parked, but then he thought it was an open container. And so we went down trying to prove in the car. We're sitting there like, no, we're not. Yeah, it's open, but it's Hawaiian Punch, right? But anyway, that moment with that cop, he did not, this was in Fort Riley, he did not walk away with giving me a warning. He gave me a ticket. All right. And that's a whole nother story. But I ended up going to court, and I was 19. I went to court, and I had to pay a fine, right? And I paid the fine, and I wrote a check. Yeah.
Big time.
And the check came back insufficient funds. So I had to go see the judge about that, right? And the judge was like, hey, you think you can write a bad check to the court? You know, this was blah, 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 right? So the joker ended up putting me in jail. Yeah, so, and it was a Friday.
So
So
they spend the whole weekend?
What? I had the flip-flops. I had the orange outfit on. And I was in the county jail there for a weekend, right? As
For
a
parking
19-year-old for bouncing the check.
Well, yeah. But it started off from the parking illegally.
Yes, and open container suspicion. But anyway, the platoon sergeant was an older white man. And I, as a brand new private, could have swore he was racist because I was just the way it seemed like he acted. And it wasn't because he was throwing out the N-word or anything. It was because, you know, when you are in the military, you come together from different places. And I'm an Ohio person, and that's mainly where I've ever been. So it just seemed like, and I don't even remember where he's from, and I'm not going to say his name, but the bottom line is he could have got me for AWOL. He could have given me an Article 15. He could have just ruined my career right there, right? But he he came to visit me over the weekend, and then he also put me on pass. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I came back, nobody knew except the platoon sergeant and my squad leader. You know what I'm saying? And so and I'm only telling the story because it made me remember that not everything in the military is going to be racism. There's going to be times when the system is going to reveal to you what it actually is. And in that case, I thought it was racism, but in reality, it was a platoon sergeant who didn't know me as a new private, who gave me orders to do things all the time. Why? Because I was a private, and my squad leader was an E4 promotable, and we were the best squad in the formation, so we got most of the tasks. I was driving everything, but I also got awards for supporting the
He's getting them points.
child in the but
he's
it was
them
so
points.
much stuff going on. But all this time, I'm thinking this dude's racist, and even if he was, which I don't know because I was a private and I never really got the chance to develop a relationship, and I never saw him again. But I do know this: if he would have stood on his racism, he could have ruined me before I even got a chance, And so,
hit you with a nice Article 15,
and that's my conversation to the people out there. If you're planning on joining the military, just know the system isn't racist. But you can, just like in life, you'll run into people that will hold stuff against you, not just racism, but stuff against you that could stop you. But if you keep pushing and then you find people that have the same type of mindset that you have, and then you all push towards success, you'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, the system is not built to hold you back if you're doing, if you're performing, and it's because it's going to be racist people anywhere. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what business, they're out there, and it's not everybody, but folks are out there. But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I feel like that's something that I grew up with as far as being. I don't say being better, but just doing more. Feeling like I was doing
overachieve.
Had to do more so that it wasn't a question. It wasn't a question. It was like, yep, I did it. That's there are the facts. That's the data. Let's go. Let's keep on moving. So I always felt that, and then going through our program, I always felt that that's the way that they taught us. Those guys that had been on active duty knew how the system was, and it was different from, the system was whenever they were on active duty at the same time, but they were in before, long before we were, but they knew how it was. So they would train us, I guess, in a manner that it was above the standard, which was not bad. It was above
hard.
The standard, so that you would know more and you would look for, I guess, more look at more situations. It wasn't just looking at this was the task and this is how you go about it. We had
were made to be better.
Option 1, option 2, option 3. This could happen, this could happen, and this could happen. So I think that we have always, and I think that that's the way it was that's the way my father, my parents, family, attacked, who raised me. So, I mean, that wasn't something new or unexpected to me because I had come up with the mindset that I always, you had to be better, and then when I, my wife, one of her favorite things to say is, we would tell our kids, it's like, don't give them a reason.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't give them a reason. 100%. So if you're preparing for an interview or don't give them a reason to not, give you the job, or not to be able to explain why you're not qualified or whatever, take those, that's what I would tell.
Make them show you.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would tell some of my soldiers and staff, you'd be like, hey, take that, get that certification, get that certificate, get as much as you can so that you are overly qualified, go out for the different opportunities and try to scrub those different cases and stuff. People that work and operate know what I'm talking about. Try to do some of those more difficult cases and things like that. Try to learn, so it was one of those things where it was like, was it a time that I had? I mean, I feel like I was doing it. I feel like I was doing it all the time. I mean, even at this last assignment, I felt like it was. And I don't know if it was because I was black or what, but I'm sitting there as a colonel with 27 years in the operating room environment trying to tell and express stuff, and you're still getting pushback from folks that are like,
Yeah.
and it's like you have, and I understand folks that, there's a lot of folks not, they're so into the literature says you have to do it like this, and this is, but it's like, how, that's not, I hear what you're saying, but that's
interpretation.
Not, that's not a, let's try to be realistic about some of this stuff, but again, was it ever a time where I felt like I had to? I probably never noticed it or paid attention to it, because I was always trying to
be as good as you can.
And I always felt like if I didn't get something, or it's because I did what I need. I did what I could, and that's the way it was a lot of times with the with promotions, because that's with us. We're not getting points, but we're building building that promotion resume, between each
so it stacks
promotions. So
stacks
so it's like, if you feel like you did everything, you did what was the standard to be promoted. And if you did, then it was like, okay, I need to do this, or I did 5 of these, or I did, then. So
we weren't taught that racism was an excuse.
No.
Was the excuse you came up with to why you because you were, we were taught to push so that we're qualified.
Hey, unless it was some blatant stuff, unless it was blatant where it was like, that was how that came, or if that you're sitting there up against somebody that's of a different race or whatever, and it's like, that your stuff is up here and that and they're there, then it's like, explain, and if they can't explain it to you, because you have to be able to, some of that stuff you have to be able to explain, like, I don't get it.
Well, that goes back to that system, and I'll say this, right? If you took the system on its own, it's almost a perfect situation, because it is meant to be
merit based.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's meant for merit based, but for the best, to be able to push the situation or the organization on and forward.
And I was glad when they started taking our pictures out of our promotion packets and stuff like that. So all they were reading was our record,
But at the same time, if you were making an impact, they knew.
Yeah. That's what I said. I can tell you, that's your reputation precedes you.
100%.
It precedes you. So
good or bad.
Yeah. So it's like, unless you know that this is your last thing, don't burn any bridges out there.
Yeah.
Don't matter if you're what race you are. Don't burn any bridges before you are ready to be. You're ready to blow that up, and then you really don't want to blow it up, because those are folks who you're gonna call back for
bridge. Yeah. You can't unburn bridges.
What do you call those things? I can't remember.
What are you talking about?
For like jobs, people, or referrals, references.
Oh, okay.
So but
all right. So, how did you navigate? Well, code switching is a huge thing, right? And it's a thing that not you as individuals, but cultures. It's called code switching because from culture to culture, you don't know how other people will react to the way that you were born and raised, right? And the way that you've developed into a human being. So code switching is where you are adjusting yourself so that you can fit into these different spaces that you will have to maneuver through. So how did you navigate code switching or cultural tension while rising through the ranks?
I think that we brought up doing that. I don't know if it's just one of those things that we learned by watching our parents. I think I've learned some of that by just watching my father interact with his his environment, with his different environments, and how he was when he was in the neighborhood, with the neighbors, or when he was with his brothers, when he with the family and stuff like that, to when he's in his work environment, and it wasn't, it was just certain things that were tweaked and toned down a little, just so folks knew what he was saying. Understood what he was saying.
Yeah. And that's
felt comfortable.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah. Code switching, in my opinion, is an attempt to have clearer understanding when you are in a situation, right? So once again, I went to this Christian school, all white school, and the classrooms were smaller. So I grew up talking different than the kids in my neighborhood. And when I got back to my neighborhood, kids would make fun of the way I talked. And I would end up taking on the way they were talking, going back to it. But then when I got in the house or got back to school, I got in trouble for.
Yeah, I mean,
it's something like you were saying. But that's because
you were young. You were learning.
Exactly,
you were
that's
learning,
what I was
and I think that's. I mean, that's. You just. I mean, you did just. That's just how it was. Because
everybody does it.
Yeah, I mean, it was in a professional environment, then you're not gonna talk like you out on the corner or you are like in your backyard, playing spades. You're not gonna do that there, but you. I mean, so I guess in that manner, I would, but I will tell you when I was with other around other black officers or around other black soldiers or whatever, I would be a little, it would be a little, because it's like that's how everybody felt comfortable.
That's the thing.
Everybody felt comfortable talking. Everybody knew what you were saying in your college, your slang, I mean, however, your gestures or what you were talking about or what you were joking about. And it wasn't anything that was, it wasn't anything dealing with race or, it was just, that's
the
was the dialect. I mean, just all of that, those things like that. So, I mean, it's a, I think that's something that I can say that's something that I learned over the years. And you just have to know your, and it's necessary, and I feel like it is necessary. You just have to know your environment, know your audience, know your environment, because again, exactly what you said about being able to clearly communicate, and and that's the beauty of our country is we have everybody, we have all these different cultures and folks here. So it's, I mean, because we're not the only ones that do it. Black folks, we're not the only ones that do it.
Right.
Everybody does it.
Right.
Everybody does it, So, and that's fine, because again, we have to be able to clearly communicate so that we can, do our, take care of our patients, to complete our missions, if that's what, whatever the situation. It's a necessary thing sometimes. So
true. And it's also something that you have to understand what it is before you start calling people sellouts, before you start calling people traitors, because each situation or each environment that you're going into, if you can fit into that environment, you should, but you also should maintain who you are, right? So if we're going to label it code switching, right, we have to make sure that we also say there has to be a genuine person in there as well. So, for instance, you can't leave a black environment and then go into a white environment and then let the white environment belittle you, let the white environment call you the N-word and tell you that you can't do something.
Yeah, you should
but
by
when
no
you were
means
in that black environment, you were strong.
You shouldn't turn into a different person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you should no means turn into it. That doesn't mean you turn into a different person.
Absolutely.
That means you tone down. You mess with the Twitter and the triple.
So
the bass.
Yep.
So you just. You just
100%.
adjust it, but you don't change who you are. And then if it is some silliness going on, you call that
Silliness out.
that silliness out. So
Just put it this way: if you're from the black neighborhood. I ain't gonna put race in this. You're from a neighborhood, right? And you act one way in that neighborhood.
mm-hmm.
It's usually wide open and fun. I'm talking to your kid now, right? But then you go to school. You can't act the same way in school that you acted when you were in the neighborhood, right? And then you leave school and go to church. You can't act the same way in church that you act in school or that you act at home, right?
No.
And that's why I say code switching it's a tough word because there's a lot that comes with that title. But there are adjustments that you have to be. But once again, you have to be true to yourself.
Yeah, some people look at it as negative, but it's not it's not negative. It's not selling out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
because I've been loud my whole life, and I'm also a loud laugher, and I'm also a loud talker, right? And I'm also short with people when I know what needs to happen, and that's in every group I'm around. So I'm still true to myself, but at the same time, you have to be able, because if I walk into a room full of Hispanics, I need to be able to at least be able to be understood, right? And relatable to them the same way if I walk into a white room, say an Asian room or a black room. And because of the military, I've been in all of those environments, and I've learned, not because of the military, but I've learned because of who I wanted to be as a person, as a leader. I've learned how to maneuver through those environments with everybody still knowing what my intent was.
Yep.
And if I failed, that's a failure on my leadership and my capabilities.
Yep.
So that's that's a tough one right there, because there's a lot of trigger words when you say code switching to people.
Yeah.
All
right. Did you ever feel you had to choose between authenticity and opportunity while you were in?
Yes. Before I learned my voice.
Okay.
So when I was younger and I got pulled to sit into a squad leader meeting or sit into a platoon sergeant meeting or sit in the first sergeant meeting, I wasn't sure how to act sometimes my first time in those situations. And so I would be more quiet, or I would be more attentive, or just I would have to adjust myself because of the opportunity to sort of be accepted in that environment without being ridiculed or looked over because I needed to fit.
Well, you need to learn
100%.
I mean, I think that'd be my same response to that, is like I had to learn and get comfortable with what I was doing before I could say, no, that's not right. Or what do you, no, hold up, let's stop. You know, I mean, anything that's unsafe, you always stop that for sure. But to be more vocal, I can tell you in my environment where I was working, because I was working with a lot of, you got a lot of smart people, especially if they're doing their job. They might not be smart as far as Army stuff. Yeah, they might not be smart in Army stuff, but if they're doing their
certain topics,
doing their job, they're doing their job. They know, for the most part, their stuff. So, I mean, I think that you have to be comfortable. You have to know your job, know what you're doing, and know whatever your subject, especially if it's a meeting or something like that, have some type of idea of what you're talking about, so that you can be. And then being black, you're already not looking, he don't know what the hell's going on. So you're already in that situation where it's like, okay, I have to know what, the lingo, know the situation so that I can speak on it and be heard.
Right. And understand. And you become authentic when you get more comfortable in those situations, when you gain more knowledge and more experience.
Yep.
So I absolutely 100% would agree that it's evolution, right? Yep. You have to evolve as a human, period.
Yep.
Then you have to evolve on your situation, whether it be husband, whether it be father. Then you have to evolve in your job.
Yeah,
You have to.
That's any race.
Yeah, because
Any
if
any
you
race,
don't,
anything that you're doing.
if you don't, then you're going to be standing still or failing your
Yep.
whole life. Because this I'm real. This is who I am. Yeah, it was maybe
Peace.
2 years
That's what
ago, but now you need to be somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that was deep conversation.
Okay.
What advice would you give young Black service members trying to find their voice and path in the military?
Probably the best advice. I mean, is if you're listening to us now, is like have a plan.
Yeah.
You know, have a plan. Then whenever you get in, regardless if you're enlisted or officer, use the different programs and things that are offered to you, that are there, that are free. You know, when you go to some of these the different schools, the basic school, the advanced school, you know, those leadership courses and things that you're learning, take that stuff seriously. Take you some notes, whatever you need to do, but those are things that you will absolutely be able to use and utilize outside the military if you don't make it a career. And just be yourself. It is. Everything we're saying is that we're saying is that be proud to be, be Black or Hispanic or whatever your race is. Be proud to be that and be that person, but also know that you're dealing, you're with other
everybody.
Cultures and stuff. So be sensitive to that also, and learn how to, communicate. Be heard and communicate so that
everybody understands.
Yeah, everybody knows what you're saying because everybody has something to say. But yeah, be yourself and just take advantage of all the opportunities. And and I'm not saying, because people always say don't volunteer for anything. Yeah, that's true up to a point. Look and see, research it, see what it is, and then
but volunteering
move forward.
has its benefits as well.
Yeah.
So his biggest thing was have a plan, right? So my biggest thing, the advice that I would give young Black service members trying to find their voice is the more knowledge you gain, the more relevant your voice becomes. There's a lot of people before me, and I absolutely throw myself in there, because having representation at any table is valuable.
Yep.
And the people who served before you fought to get there.
Yep.
We cannot be replaced by people at that table who don't know what they're doing or don't know what they're talking about. So if you're not relevant because you don't have the knowledge, information, and experience to be at that table, then you're giving that seat up.
Yep.
You're either giving it up by not being invited back, or you're giving it up by now they're like, oh, this joker. Is this how all of this type of person is? So my biggest advice is you're in the military, learn the military, right? The rules and regulations on how you're supposed to present yourself as whatever rank you are, enlisted or officer. Learn your job so that you can become a master at your job.
Absolutely.
You're never going to be all-knowing at your job, right? But you can master your job. And then finally, you want to make sure that as a leader, you're employing everything to be the best leader you can be.
Yep. And talk to some folks. It's okay to get to have mentors or a mentor or somebody who's
But
been
make sure
there.
you have a mentor who's going to be honest with you.
Right.
Don't
Have somebody that's going to tell you what you want to hear.
Absolutely. Don't select a mentor who's made it to the top, and then the only thing they want to tell you is how they made it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not mentoring. Mentoring is helping you develop a plan, and then holding you to that plan, and correcting your course along the way. That's what a mentor is. All right. So those are two powerful things. One, have a plan, right? And two, seek knowledge, right? And seek information and seek experience. so that you have all that when you are chosen to be in these tough situations. All right. Like you said, there's no manual for being black, just like there's no manual for being black in uniform. But we learned, we adapted, and we left our mark.
Yeah. If you're a young black soldier out there, just know you're not alone.
Yeah.
We see you, we hear you, and we were you.
Yeah. And once again, a tough conversation. And we know not even our own races will always agree with how we talk. But that's why we preface this with it's our opinion.
Right.
At the same time, the takeaway should be, if your situation was different, now you have an understanding of how somebody else sees it.
Yeah. I mean, and this, I mean, what we talked about could be for, I mean, you could drop anybody in, you know, just Hispanics, Asian, you know, it's because all of our races, I mean, if you want to talk about facts and numbers and things like that, we're a small, very small percentage of the
minority,
of the armed services.
Yep.
And I can tell you, if I know for officers, we probably make up about 11% of the military. You know, so the so the other 90% are everybody else. And then as we go up in rank, and it's the same way for enlisted, as we go up in rank, those numbers shrink. Yeah. Just because the number of positions for that those ranks shrink. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a it's a thing.
Yeah. Thank you for tapping into 4 Titles, 1 Truth. Keep walking your truth.
And we'll see you next episode. Let's keep the conversation going, y'all.